This week, Amazon had its Accelerate conference where they announce all sorts of cool stuff that they are doing for our community of sellers on Amazon. So in this video, I want to talk you through some of the big changes, some big changes that Amazon think are big that are really just kind of whatever, and some big changes that I think are going to make a real difference to us as sellers online. Let's get into it. So first biggie thing for them, this was one of those like, whoa, we're awesome, we've got this in place. But really, anyway, it was something called Escalate the Case. This is on the back, I think, of everybody emailing Jeff Bezos to say, hey, you've got to fix this. So now they've got a new function where you can put a seller support ticket in, and then you can escalate that seller support ticket. Okay, so that's the basic premise of it. I don't get that it's really a big deal. I cannot see how that's any different to what we currently have, because unless you put your case in properly, there is no escalation of it. They just do a formulaic response. And even when you do a good case for them, then you still get this formulaic response. So I can see that is not really a big issue. It feels a bit kind of meh to me. I think the bottom line is that it's something that will probably become like the Jeff at email, become abused, and it will lose any short-term immediate effect that it has. I can't see it being particularly good in the long term for us. So not a big one to start with. Next, money from Amazon. That's all good. So what Amazon basically said was that new brand owners on Amazon could get up to $50,000 in what amounted to cashbacks, basically, depending on the thing, but mostly it's in the form of cashbacks, okay? So this is all about incentivizing people to use certain things. You will probably have figured out that most of these are going to be for brand owners, aka brand registry, otherwise known as everybody must be brand registered now. Another very, very good reason to get brand registry. But anyway, so essentially you get 5% back on your first million in sales. The commissions that you pay to Amazon, you get 5% of them back, okay? So that's kind of cool. And then there's also incentives to join things like transparency, which is crap, sponsored ads, there's coupons, the Vine program as well, that was also mentioned. Another thing about anything else, I think that's kind of it. But there's money sloshing around, and probably like me, you would prefer to see a across the board cut in the fees, whether that's commissions or FBA fees, but they didn't do that. Instead, what they've done is they've used this kind of money to incentivize certain behaviors to get more and more people signing up for brand registry. Basically, that's kind of what it felt like. As a result of that, it's a bit meh for me. There's not really that much going on in terms of new stuff here. All they're trying to do is trying to incentivize people to take up more and more of the stuff that Amazon's selling. And remember that transparency actually costs money. Remember that Vine program actually costs money. So they basically what they're doing is giving a discount on everything. Okay, so as I said, it's cash back. It's not like here's some money. It's like give us some money, we'll give you some of it back. Okay, so just to be super clear, free money it ain't. Anyway, next. Amazon seller app upgrades. So again, they were extremely excited by this, with people running around everywhere and thinking it was the best thing since sliced bread. But essentially what it boils down to is they are pushing more and more of what we do as sellers onto the app. So for instance, the Seller University, all of those videos are now going to be available in the seller app, for instance, that sort of thing. And I think that probably speaks to, just like a lot of customers are moving more and more to online through their mobile device, I think what they're trying to push as well is sellers, you and I, moving our stuff onto mobile devices too. So that's kind of what I get from that. And for me, It doesn't really do anything extra for us. But I think what it does do is it's indicative of where they're trying to take Amazon as a platform, and they're going all in on mobile. That's, for me, reading between the lines, that's kind of what I get from that. So be interesting to see how that plays out, especially considering some of the other things they're doing, which I'll talk about later on. Okay. Next. All right. Customer review insights. Now, this was a little bit like they were not really that excited by this. It wasn't a big deal for them. They didn't really spend much time on it either. But I personally think this is actually a cool thing. Essentially, what they're going to enable us to do through brand registry is to get insights into what reviews, keywords have been coming up in a bid so that we can alter our products accordingly. Okay, so it's all about product iteration and new product development, this particular thing. And for me, one thing I did think of was I would not like to be in the business of having Amazon seller software like Jungle Scout, Helium 10, to a lesser degree, Merchant Words, things like that. I would not like to be in that business because it's very, very clear that Amazon is eating those businesses simply by having some of the functionality going directly into brand registry. So this has always been, for instance, something that you would get through Helium 10 to look at all the different reviews. Well, that's all in Amazon now. So it's another thing that has been cannibalized from software like that. Anyway, so I think this is kind of cool. I think this is a really good way of utilizing the massive trove of data that Amazon's got in the form of reviews to enable us to make better decisions about what we're going to launch next and how we're going to make improvements to our products. So I think this is a kind of win, although they didn't see it that way. Next up, brand analytics. So again, same guy, this poor fellow, he got all the kind of like what Amazon would think of as kind of shitty things, but what I thought were actually quite cool. So 3 updates here. The first one is that search catalog data is now available directly at the ASIN level. So previously it was at the category level, but now it's gone down and now it's available at the ASIN level. So that's a more granular approach to getting data out of Amazon. Very, very cool for us. Search analytics, you can now download that information in the form of a CSV sheet. And then, of course, from that, you can use pivot tables and all sorts of crazy shit to do whatever you want to do with that data. That wasn't available to us. They've now seen, great, we want to make that available to data geeks like myself. And so that was a really cool thing. And then search actionable insights. Again, this is a brand new feature that they've just launched into it to give us much more insights into the way people are searching and finding our products. Okay, so example of that is it's very, very easy to figure out how somebody finds your products if they click on an advert. But if they don't click on an advert and they just find you organically, then you've got no idea of their journey to find your products. That's being addressed. They're now looking at that organic data as well to make that available to us. I think that's a pretty friggin' cool thing. It will allow us to better understand what's happening on the Amazon platform, where they're going on this Amazon platform, and how indeed they're actually finding our products and on the platform as well. So big one. I like that a lot. Next, experiments. They already let us do experiments, but so far this has been pretty shit. That's looking like they're putting more and more money into it. Amazon is, without a doubt, as far as testing goes, they are the Mac daddy. They're the GOAT as far as testing online goes, but they haven't made that same functionality available to us. That's changing now. So now we're able to start testing, again, brand registry. We're able to start testing the bullets and the product descriptions. And if you're running 2 tests, like an A/B test, you're running this one against this one, you can now set a time whereby after a certain point of statistical significance, they'll just run the best performing ad. So you will no longer need to monitor that. After a certain period, they'll go, okay, well, we're now at, for instance, 95% confidence that this is the best performing version of your product details page. So we're just going to run everything to that now, which is super cool. That was not something available. You just kind of had to figure that out. Okay. A couple of other little things here. Customer service by Amazon. So they're going to allow this to go out to more people. It's paid. They're going to make it available to more and more FBM sellers, whereas before it was only available to FBA sellers. Okay, so it's a paid service, and now FBM sellers will be able to avail themselves of Amazon's customer service. For me, who gives a shit? Much, much better. I don't want them to be looking after my customer service anyway. Certainly if I'm doing FBM, I don't want them getting access to my customers either. Okay, so not a big one. The seller forums, they spoke about the seller forums. You may not even know they exist. They're pretty shit. That's why things like AOE exists. Anyway, so they're adding more moderators into that apparently, and refreshing the interface. Again, for me, it's like a big deal. I don't know anybody who's making decent money on Amazon who uses the seller forums, because for the most part, they're crap. So I'm not really that fussed about that. FBA dashboard, that's just them. And again, this is like, it's just a rebrand, but that's just them taking all of the current information that's available through Seller Central when you initially go in, some of the reports and things like that, they're putting it into a new, what they're calling FBA dashboard. It's just a refresh of the user interface. That's all that is. Tailored audience. This is kind of cool in as much as if you're brand registered, they will allow you now to market to your customers that buy through Amazon in the forms of sending them email communications and things like that. Okay, so they're trying their best to retain control of the customers, but also giving us what really amounts to limited access to those customers as well. Okay, so for me, it's a step in a good direction, but it hasn't gone far enough. Okay, the small business badge. Fuck, I don't know about this. This is supposed to be so that you in the search engine results page, you get a tiny little badge that says, "Oh, this is a small business." But I did some research on my own and saw that some of the big Amazon aggregators who've raised like $1 billion to go and buy up these Amazon businesses, they've got that badge. So clearly, you know, this is not small businesses, it's just whoever's using it. So I don't get that that's a particularly good thing. Ask Alexa. So if you look at the product details page, you'll see that you can ask questions on the product details page. So it's ask questions about the products. That's now being transferred across and integrated with Alexa as well. So if somebody's got Alexa, they can ask Alexa a question and it will draw that information from your product details page to answer the question. Kind of cool. That speaks volumes about Amazon's thoughts with regards to taking over what's going on in the home. Okay. Premium A+ content, I've spoken about that already. This used to be seriously freaking expensive, like $250,000 expensive. They're rolling it out across all of Amazon to all brand registered people. So basically it's just a better A+ content, includes videos and shit like that. This is cool. Seller profile page. Does anybody go to the seller? Like for me, what they're doing is they're making a seller profile page better so that you can tell more about your brand, your origin story of your brand, and potentially even about yourself as well on the seller page. I don't particularly think this is a big deal because I very much doubt that many people go to the seller page before checking out. I just don't see that being a big one. Buy with Prime marketing. So what they're now, and this is a big thing, but a little thing. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to go up against Shopify. So this is a direct, let's try and kill Shopify thing, okay? And but what they're doing is they're allowing people with websites to put onto those websites a checkout, which is essentially, you can, if you're Prime registered and on a website that's not Amazon, then you can still get all the Prime benefits. That's essentially what it is, okay? But what it is behind the scenes is Amazon trying to stop the growth of Shopify and trying to stop Shopify becoming a marketplace in and of itself. So what Shopify's done is they've essentially labeled those buttons as against Shopify's terms of service. And so nobody on Shopify can use them. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but the jury's out. List once, sell globally, whatever. That's should be, you can put the listing up once and then you can actually press a button and it will list in all different marketplaces for you. But for me, we've got that already. I don't get that's a big thing. Amazon Wallet. This is quite a big thing. And it's basically where Amazon will pay you out faster. So Amazon's becoming its own currency exchange. Looks like they're probably going to start going into debit cards and credit cards and financial products. I think this is a play, first step of a play into that, where they'll transfer the money out of your Amazon.com account, for instance, into your Amazon Australia bank account. They'll do that really quickly and they'll take some money on the spread. So they become an FX exchange, basically. That was a video from my regular Monday question and answer session with the members of the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs. We're a community of 2,500 e-commerce direct-to-consumer entrepreneurs right around the world with sales of over $50 million and growing. If you'd like to find out more what we do, check out the link in the description. Also be sure to give this video a thumbs up. That way I'll know you want more information like this, and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel because we post brand new money making information just like this each and every day. With that being said, thanks so much for watching. See you on the next video. Bye.